Hi class, I want to introduce you to a tool that we're going to start using so that we can get you up and running really fast regardless of your platform, whether or not you have your own computer, whether you're in a lab computer or whatever. I want you to go into your computer, open a browser window. I don't really care which browser you use, as long as it's an up-to-date one, and go to a website called Codepen. It is codepen.io. All right, it's codepen.io. And the web page should look something like this. It could look a little bit different depending on, how long ago I did this video. But what I want you to do before you do anything else is I want you to go ahead and just sign up for a new account. So let's just get started. So click over here on the sign up button. If it's somewhere else by the time you are doing this tutorial, then just find the sign up button. And you're going to see all these paid plans. You don't have to buy a plan. What I want you to do is go over here and click on Join Codepen Free. All right, so click on that, and it's going to show you what you can get for free, and it's going to be just fine for you to use this semester. You get at least one project. Don't worry about it. Most of what you're going to be doing in Codepen is going to have nothing to do with a full-on project. You can have 10 files per project. Okay, that's fine. We're not really going to be using it for projects so much. And don't worry about these other things about deploys and custom domains. It also shows you that you get access to the editor view, which is what we want. You get full view, you get detail view. All right, those are the things that are really important for what we're going to be doing in this class. You can always go and pay if you really want to, but you're not required to by any means. All right, so go ahead and you're going to enter your name. So I'll enter mine, and I'll just say Lee. I'm not going to put my last name. You can if you want. You're going to choose a username. So let's try picking that. You can pick any username that you want. Your email address. Just make sure it's one that you have access to so that you can verify the account. Then you're going to choose yourself a password. You're going to click I'm not a robot and click on submit. Okay, and it's going to ask you to go ahead and set up your profile. You can put something in the bio if you want. I'm a superstar. I don't know. I'm going to get rid of that, but whatever. And then you can put links to things, like if you want to put a link to your personal website, you can. If you want to put it to your Facebook, if you have a GitHub account. Probably if you're taking this class, you don't have a GitHub yet, but you might. You could put any of that stuff there. I'm just going to leave it blank. It's not required. In fact, neither is this. I'll leave my bio blank. I'm going to click Save and Continue. Okay, and then it's going to walk you through this pen editor, and I'll just go ahead and go through the tutorial right now. Let's go. And one of the things that it shows you how to do here is it shows you that over in these top three panels, you've got an HTML window, a CSS window, and a JavaScript window. And down below, you've got your live preview window, which is going to be sort of simulating a browser. Okay, so if you click on next step, I already said that is your CSS, and you see it added some CSS, and you saw the color changed in live mode. All right, and then JavaScript, if you want to do something in JavaScript, which we're not getting to just yet. All right, it shows you that. And then up here is where your settings are. If you click on settings, and so I just went to CSS, and so anyway, you can keep going through this if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on Leave the Tour, which will allow me to actually go and mess around with these different settings if I want to. All right, and I'm not going to suggest that you actually change any of this. I would leave it just the way it is. Don't mess with any of it. These are going to be for when you're a little bit more advanced, if you decide that you actually feel like messing around with it. One of the things that you will notice is that you'll have code indentation. So if like it indents it more than you want, and you'll see that later once we start using it, you can come back here to settings and then to behavior, and you can change it to either spaces or tabs and how much you want it to indent. We're going to do auto save. It says every 30 seconds, and auto updating preview, we want to enable that so that you can see it change live as you're making your code edits. And then the screenshot is not there yet. So anyway, and then we're going to keep where it says regular pen. We're not going to use a template, and And you can't do this because you're not pro unless you paid for it. And this is where you can set up your pen titles. Save and close, and then it allows you to kind of go ahead and get started, right? And then if you click up here where it says change view, it allows you to look at your different editor views, right? You can click like that and you can make a decision as to how you want your layout to be. Different people like these things differently. It kind of just depends on how much space you really want to have over here for the display viewport. And that's what this thing right here is, where it says hello world with a blue background. Okay, and then I'm just going to leave it with the default where you can, monkey around with it and do that. Anyway, but that's where you can go and change view. There's a button down here for console. We're not going to get into that because that's going to be JavaScript. And then where it says assets, assets is kind of cool. Unless you have Pro, you can't upload your own assets. But what's nice is that if you need a color picker so that you can just go grab a color and put it in your clipboard and then paste it into your code, you can. If you want to grab a photo from their photo library so that you can just have a picture to work with and test, you can. Patterns, same thing. We'll get into it later. Icons, fonts, things like that. All right. I'm not going to go over all of that right now. I'm just going to close that. And then what's really nice is there's this little button down here. I'm on a Mac, and so it looks like a command key. On Windows, it'll look like control. So if I click on that, it gives me shortcut commands, which is really, really nice. And I'll show you some shortcuts later. The one that's really going to be very helpful will be like this autocomplete, and also this one right here where it says wrap with, and I'll show you that later. But if you need to remember where to come back and find that, if you're trying to look for it, it's going to be that little command, or it's going to be that little button down there. Okay, and then you can just click anywhere off of that to make that window go away. You can also click here if you want to open the live view in a brand new window, for instance. And then see, it's telling me I have to verify my email address first. So let's go do that. So if I go over here, I can just click here to verify my email, and it should verify it for me. All right, and then it takes me to the regular Codepen page, which is nice. All right, so I do still have this other one open. I want to just really quickly go ahead and finish showing you some of the features. So there was this full screen option. If I click that now, it'll go full screen so you can see what it would look like. It will show this header up here. You can't really get rid of that unless you have a pro account. And you see this little thing up here that says fork. That means that if you don't want to continue changing the existing one, you can click fork and it'll basically sort of save your old version, and it'll save a copy of the new version and let you start changing the new version so that you basically have a backup of the original thing that you were working on. But anyway, let's come back to this page. And then, there's a share button, which I'm not going to ever really use. And then there's an export, which is really great, so that if you make something, you can actually come here and you can export it as a zip file, and you can save it down to your computer. You can also click to embed a pen. So like if you have access to something where it allows you to embed code, then you can embed your pen somewhere if you have a website or something like that. You can also create collections, and you can add them to collections, which is kind of nice. So like if you wanted to make assignment collections or exercise collections, practice collections, whatever, you could do that. Personal collections that are not related to this class, you could make 125 collections, whatever you want. Okay. And so I want to just go over here to this window that was right here, the one that just opened up for us, because that's going to be the one that you'll see whenever you come to Codepen after you've created an account. And what you can do is you can look here where it says create. You could say a new pen, and a new pen is basically going to be just it's not a project, but it's just a new little like exploration, a new test file. And that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. For instance, this is a pen. Okay, and it was the dummy pen that we saved. And so if I wanted, I could click save here. I don't necessarily want to save it. I really don't care because it wasn't really mine. But anyway, if you want to come over here, we can make some changes. I'm going to close this where it says my email has been verified, And the other thing that you can always do if you're lost or something, you can come back here where it says dashboard, and it is your dashboard, right? So you can look at your projects. Of course, we only have access to one, but we're not getting into that. It'll show your different pens. We've got the Hello World pen that's currently open. I'll go back to that in just a minute. You have posts and you have collections. So you can, as I said before, you can create new collections here, and you can add your pens to different collections. Like for instance, if it's a collection that you want to do for this class, you could make a collection called Mat 125. You could also create another collection that was called Mat 125 Assignment 1 or something like that, so that it could belong to two different collections. If you have little personal pen projects that you want, you can then have something, as I said before, that's personal. Okay, and then you can click like here to go to different collections that belong to other people. If you want, not just your collections, you can look at different posts, uh, you know, popular my post things. So you can kind of bookmark things if you want. Anyway, you can look at people's different pens if you want to see some really cool projects that other people have done, so that you can see like how to do some interesting things, right? And you can see how other people have done them. Some of them are going to be easier than others. Some are going to be pretty pro. So don't worry if you go to the pro looking stuff and you have no clue. I don't want you to freak out over that. So anyway, you can always go back to my dashboard. Right now, what I want you to do in the dashboard is I want you to go to a different place for settings. This is a thing that sometimes I think people find a little bit confusing, but under, if you click on the little icon, your little avatar, it's a little code head, I guess, you can come down to where it says settings right here. All right, we're going to click on that, and this shows you a whole different group of settings. And the other page, I want to make this really clear. The other page, when we were actually inside of a pen, right here, you had settings, and that was going to be settings based on this particular pen. If you go into your dashboard, however, and you come up to the little avatar and you go to settings here, you're going to get more universal settings. All right, and so this is where if you want to change your syntax highlighting, you can change it, and it shows you an example over here. And you can see some of the existing themes that are available to you. And so really it kind of just depends on what's easy on your eyes. And sometimes what's easy on your eyes, occasionally that just happens to be relative to maybe how bright the light in the room is. So this might not be something you want to permanently leave this way. You might end up changing it depending on whether or not you're working in a dark room or not. This one is actually pretty nice. This one that's XQ light, if you need something that's bright screen but that's not going to hurt your eyes too much. And then I tend to like the regular twilight version, and part of that is because I spend a lot of time in front of a computer and I don't like all that light glaring out at my eyes all day long. So anyway, I'm going to stick with dark theme of twilight. So you can also change the code font family that it's using. So if you find that this is maybe easier to read than the Monaco, you can do that. You can try these different ones. I would probably do something like Source Code Pro. That one's usually pretty good, but I would look at all the different ones that you feel is the easiest for you to read. And part of what's going to make it easy for you to read is, these are all monospaced fonts, so that it's really easy to see that a space is a space. Proportional font, sometimes you can't tell if something is a space or not. But anyway, you can look through all these different ones. But I tend to like the Source Code Pro. All right. And then the other thing you can do is you can make the font size a little bit bigger. I'm probably going to make mine just a little bit bigger just because I'm doing a demonstration. It's really up to you how big you want your font size to be. The other thing too is you're going to probably, for what you're doing, leave your key bindings alone. I would leave the code indentation alone. What you can do though is you can see an example if you increase the code indentation. The problem with making your code indentation really, really steep is that, or I should say deep, not steep, really deep, like this, is that you're not going to be able to fit as much on a line, especially when you've got these narrow columns. So it's kind of nice to do it somewhere in this ballpark. All right, and I like the default setting the best. Don't worry about preprocessor. What I do want you to do, because you're new to this, is I want you to go down to where it says editor options. And the only one that by default is not checked is autocomplete. I want you to click on autocomplete. Whenever you are first getting started, autocomplete is going to be really helpful because what it does is it provides code hinting so that as you're typing, it will automatically give you code hints to some of the things that you might be able to select from. And that's going to be really helpful for you whenever you're first getting started. Where it says emit over here, I don't want you to worry about this right now. It's basically a way to use shortcuts, but you don't need to know anything about it right now. In fact, if you want to take it off, you can. You can always come back here and turn it back on. But until you actually know a little bit of HTML and CSS, emit is not going to be helpful to you. So anyway, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to save all my settings before I change to my next screen. If you want to go here to your profile, you can also adjust your profile if you want. Okay, I didn't finish my profile. I really don't care. You can change your personal notifications. Under customize, you can modify some of this. I would leave this alone for right now. And then account, you can change your password here. You can also choose to go pro and so on, right? Okay, so that's that. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close this other pen. It's kind of goofy, all right, that I had going. And if I go back to my dashboard, you're going to see that if I go on pen, you're going to see that pen, that hello world, it already exists. If you didn't save yours, yours isn't going to be there probably. So it just did an auto save for me. And so that's why that's there. So if I didn't want that, I could just delete that. And I am going to delete the pen. It tells me, hey, watch out. This is really going to get rid of it. I really don't care. So I just deleted that pen. Okay, let's make a new pen. And as a reminder, a pen is just an exploration. It's like a really simple little code exploration. So we'll go up here to create, and we'll say new pen. All right, so now we've got a blank slate. And this will help you get started. And I just wanted to get you to this place so far so that in the next video, you can actually start coding and learning how to do some of your basic HTML stuff.